So where am I in this market? Just to introduce myself, I'm Koen Beyers. I'm in product development of medical devices at two different levels or two fields. Initially with Voxdale as a service company for the design of medical devices, supported by a lot of simulation technology. And secondly with Novosanis, a medical device company building and marketing its own devices. And it's been really interesting to be on both sides, trying to accelerate the R&D processes at startups and large companies in a very specific offering on the one hand, and trying to scale up own devices, getting them approved and accepted on the other hand, on the other side. And it's in that setting that we design devices like this. This is VaxID, a delivery device for intradermal injection. It's a medical device class 2A, by the way. Or its pre-filled variant. Always think platform, not single device. A CE IVD sampling solution for first void urine collection for early stage cancer detection or detection of STIs. Not only single-use disposable devices, also more complex developments with technology integration, connectivity and software. This is a 3D representation of a design of a roller mill, and this was the finalized product. But no matter the complexity of the device or the technology, there's what we call a design control process based on ISO 13485. That's a quality standard for medical device development. And thinking back to the human needs I just explained, the user needs are basically the start of your design control process. With user needs, you can start defining the intended use of your development or your device. Who are my users? How should it be used? What's the purpose of my development? And after defining that, you can start relating to essential requirements or existing standards. And it's only after this when you can start working on your proof of principle, on your first conceptual designs, evolving to proof of concepts, or what we could call a demonstrator. And that could result in prototypes that can be verified. Of course, there will be a lot of changes, a lot of iterations, updates needed in this process. I will come back to this in a minute. That final prototype of your design will then be subject to verification, meaning you will verify if your development complies with all the initial requirements and standards you had defined in the previous phase. And hopefully that will lead to a frozen design, a design that can then be validated. Check if your device complies with the user needs you had defined in the first step, both on technical and clinical aspects. And after that, you can kick off design transfer. Design transfers in the first place towards manufacturing and upscaling, but also towards registration and listing of your device. And that will mean the initiation of your marketing and commercialization of your device. This involves a lot of documentation and paperwork. During your process, you'll have a lot of design review boards between every single phase. There will be computer-aided design files and drawings. You'll have to do patent search, IP assessment, patent filing. There will be lots of human factors engineering. You might work with materials and polymers, so you'll need material safety data sheets. You'll do testing and risk assessment. You'll have to build failure mode and effect analysis. You'll need bill of materials containing all components. There will be verification and validation plans and reports. You'll need checklist for design transfer. And all of that will be compiled in a design history and in a device master record, finalized by the stat file, the final technical documentation that you will need for your registration and listing purposes. Basically, how we do it at Novasanis and Voxdale, that first verified design we would call a prototype that we can use for first assessments. Our validated design we would call a device for research use only, so to be used to build up clinical and technical proof. And it's only when we have the CE registration or FDA listing that we would call it a medical device. A part of my presentation is focusing on this phase, where you move from requirements up to final prototype. That's a highly innovative and creative period, but also one with a lot of loopbacks, iteration, changes, design uncertainty. Because this is a highly experimental phase, trying to verify if your ideas or sometimes crazy ideas could work, making it unknown, unsure about lead times and costs. And as we often seen, we underestimate those two factors. And that's why at Voxdale, we try to use a lot of simulation technology to accelerate that phase. You can call it virtual prototyping or digital twinning, meaning that we build simulation models to increase the number of variants to be verified and to decrease time and cost. Basically, it's a way to take a lot of risk in a virtual environment, meaning that you can reduce risk throughout the rest of the trajectory, shortening lead times and decreasing costs. With the design control process itself, there are also some barriers that come with it. Designing a device can only be successful when you have good tools, good equipment, hardware, software. In fact, know where you're heading to really, also from a compliance point of view. When you have the support on all levels, from the board, from the management, and you need sufficient budget. And I never heard any team saying we have too many people or we have too much time. So you need a lot of resources. And with a service company like Voxdale, we are focusing on providing in tools and resources to accelerate the medical device design process. And within our network, we can look into ways to bring RA advice, connect to investors, and so on, all to make projects potentially more successful. Looking at tools and thinking about all the things you need to get your proof of concepts and prototypes verified. From a product development point of view, you should think of testing equipment, testing benches, breadboards, mainly for system engineering, software and hardware testing, 3D printers. They are so affordable these days. Proton molds to get the real materials and polymers tested. And of course, simulation tools, structural analysis, thermal management, microfluidics. All focused heavily on testing and verification in that creative, innovative phase.